So close.
It should be staying here because this is where all Eastonmades belong, don't you think?
This is where they become American citizens.
That's right. That's right. We sign the documents, it becomes official. So this is Justin. He has a YouTube channel, and you watch my channel also.
I do.
And he bought an Eastonmade ULTRA. And why did you buy an Eastonmade ULTRA?
I did. Well, I did a lot of research. I was looking to get into the firewood business, and I have a splitter. It's slow. It'll go through just about anything, but I was really looking for something that would pick up my production, my speed, and I think the Eastonmade was definitely the way to go. I did a lot of research. It was between Wolfridge and Eastonmade, and I decided with the Eastonmade Axis for the price. It's affordable. You can tell how well they're built. And you're one of the main reasons why I bought the Eastonmade.
Well, I've been told by at least a dozen other guys that they bought the Eastonmade product because they watch my channel, because I've shown this one, I've shown Tony's 1222, the Axis, so I've had other Eastonmade products on it, and the Wolfridge are great. And there's a lot of other wood splitters out there that are nice, but for the money, you really can't beat this. I mean, it runs great, it splits great, you can produce a lot of wood fast, and they hold their value. Everybody wants them.
And it's not big and bulky. That was another thing. Like, I wanted something, I know you like yours because you're able to, you can maneuver it by hand for the most part. It's not like I'm going to drag it all around here. I mean, I have a little hand dolly I can use now, and plus I got my tractor now, but when it's soft, you can't always do that. But I can muscle it around a wood pile. You know, if I've got a pile of wood here and I get this end split and everything else is over there, I can just kind of inch it over there, and you can move it around pretty easily. And especially if you put the tongue on it, it's pretty easily. And the little hand dolly I got, you know, it's for moving boats and stuff, one of those little jacks. I've
works
seen
great. It works great. So, you can move it around. I do have the Honda engine. You got the Vanguard, so we'll have to kind of talk about the differences there. I mean, Honda,
I think they'll be similar.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys like the Vanguards. I know they run great. I think the guys that I've talked to that have them, they say that there's really no difference. So,
my other splitter actually has a Vanguard motor on it.
Oh, okay.
And it might even be the same one, but I think mine's a little smaller on my other one. But so far, so good. I've had no issues with it.
So now with your splitter you got now, you said you can do about a face cord an hour.
If I'm doing really big wood, maybe a little less, but if I'm doing, maybe 20-inch rounds or smaller, I can do about a face cord an hour, and then that doesn't include cutting it. Bucking the wood and stacking. But
you'll triple that. I can do 3 face cords an hour if you're right by the wood and it's wood that is not too big. The big wood slows you down. I always tell people, big wood is nice, you get a lot of wood from it, but it's slower. It's just slower, it just is. But by using this machine, and you can split stuff that's pretty big. You go all the way up to 20-inch stuff just fine with it. And with that 4-way wedge, you're producing 4 pieces at a time most of the time. I don't adjust my wedge too much. A lot of guys playing with it up and down all the time. Even when I had a 1222 here and some of the other splitters I've run, I rarely move the wedge. Once you get it kind of to where you want it, you just run it that way. Because you want a wood to be a certain size, and so I really don't play with them too much. That's why having a mechanically adjustable one, to me, wasn't that big of a deal. This one's adjustable, but you just got to pull a pin, lift it up and down, and
so what does it take? A couple of minutes?
A couple of minutes. And if you really want to have your wood be precise, when you're splitting, just don't split all the big ones. Split all the smaller stuff and then adjust your wedge and then split the big stuff, which is easy to do. So it's no big deal. But for the money, it's a great machine, and they hold their value really well. They're fast. They run easy. They're easy to move around. I don't know. I really like their stuff a lot.
I was willing to wait. I had to wait a year. And they told me that I wasn't going to get it until this September.
So originally, you're way ahead of schedule then.
Yeah, way ahead of schedule. But that's because they moved their factory, and I think they increased production a little bit.
Yeah, they hired some new employees, and they speeded up their processes quite a bit. I mean, they've changed things a lot, and it's a young company. They've only been going now for 5 or 6 years. So
and last year when I was doing the research and getting ready to buy, I looked into, everyone was having the same problems. They were having problems getting steel. They were having problems with labor, shutdowns because of COVID, all that kind of stuff. So you know, it wasn't completely Eastonmade's fault. And every other splitter manufacturer in the world was having similar problems.
Yeah.
So you were going to have to wait for a good quality splitter. You were going to have to wait no matter what. And I went with Eastonmade. Hopefully it was worth the wait.
Right. Well, let me show you some of the features on it.
Yeah.
So let's do a little tour of the machine.
Let's do that.
So now, we were just talking, and we thought this was worth talking about for you guys to hear, because this is kind of the evolution of where we're at with why we bought what we did. I first started with a box store splitter, and I was like $900, and it was slow, and that was before the Glacier even. I split 600 face cords with that splitter. I had it about a year and a half, and I wanted to get something that was just a little stronger. So I upgraded to like, if it was a 22 ton, I went to like a 27 ton. And I knew it was starting to get kind of wore out, and I knew I could still get some money for it. So I spent $900, I sold it for $650. So what, $250? I split 600 face cords of wood. That's a pretty good deal.
It's a couple of bucks a face cord.
Yeah, if that even. So, yeah. And then I bought my other one, and it was the Glacier that a lot of you have seen. And I split 1,000 face cords with that splitter and basically wore it out. I paid $1,100 for it. It's still sitting over there. I got to sell it someday. But I probably there's nothing wrong with it other than doing some repairs on the rail. And I probably could still get $400 or $500 for it.
For sure.
But it was slow. And that's what we were just talking about, speed. Speed is everything. And your splitter you've got now, and my old Glacier splitter had like, what, a 13, 15, 17 second cycle time? If
you're in the summer, in the winter, I mean, in the winter, it might even be 20 seconds when it's cold. So
that's the speed of the splitter being, like you said, 20 seconds in the wintertime sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, when it's 5 degrees, it's probably 20 seconds. And when it's warmer out, you know, it might be 12 seconds.
And that's perfectly acceptable if you're splitting your own wood.
Yes.
For personal use, and you're doing it for enjoyment, and you're out there to enjoy the day and split a few times a year.
Right.
But if you want to do any kind of production and actually sell some wood, time is money.
Right. And say, like for me, for example, it's not, and I don't really plan on it being my job. I want to do it and make a little extra
side
income.
Money. Right. That's what I started with, yeah.
I feel like if it became my job, doing everything by hand, and the hands, you know, even with a nice splitter, I don't think it'd be very enjoyable at that point if I was doing it 8-10 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So my goal is, say I have 200 hours a year to split wood. Mm-hmm. In those 200 hours, I want to be able to do double or triple the production.
Exactly.
Therefore, I can double or triple the money that I make, which will justify the cost of this machine versus my other one.
Right.
Say if I can only do a cord an hour, a face cord an hour with my other machine, and I'm doing 100 hours a year, that's 100 face cords. Well, if this one I can do 3, that's 300 face cords I can do in the same amount of time.
All comes down to math.
Yep.
All the time.
And it's simple math, and those extra few hundred face cords will easily pay for this.
Right. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is you got to do math. You got to look at what's your investment, not just in the time, but not just in the money, but also the time. Those two things.
Yeah.
And you got to look at what can you physically put into it, what you're capable of, time-wise, what your body can withstand. Because, I mean, the slower it is, the more you're going to be standing there splitting and lifting.
Yep.
That's the other thing of an upgrade to something bigger than this is if you get a log lift, if you get something with a elevator on it, you know, so you can get rid of the wood. You know, there's all those levels of where you can go with how big you can get and what you can afford. That's the other thing. And you can't justify spending a lot of money if you're not selling a lot of wood. Right. So I always tell people, build your customer base first before you do anything. Yeah. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business.
Right. Because that's where I'm going to have to work, but I also need inventory.
Yep, you got to get inventory.
Because I can't have customers if I don't have inventory. So there's a fine line there.
That's the unique thing about firewood, isn't it? You can't just cut it and sell it right away either.
Right.
You've got to have it so that it's aging and drying, and so you're at least 6 months, 9 months, a year out in most cases.
Right.
So it doesn't just happen overnight.
Right.
But speed is huge, and that's one of the big things. So I gradually upgraded, just like you're doing, just like a lot of the other people do. And you got to get to the point with your equipment that you can get better equipment so that you can produce more, save more time, and make more money, if that's your goal. But for the average guy, you know, you only have, everybody, no matter who you are, you only have so much time.
I have an addictive personality, and when it comes to business, I never do things half-assed. And my wife would yell at me, you know, because she knows where this eventually leads based on other endeavors like this.
Exactly.
And I don't know if this will be the end all, you know, for my firewood business. The Ultra might be the top for me.
Yeah.
But I know that I got a good machine. It's faster, you know, reasonably priced compared to some of the alternatives.
You'll never lose money on it.
No.
This will hold its value.
And I could probably sell it tomorrow for more than I paid for it just based on the weight.
Wait time, yes.
Yeah.
People want them. When we put Tony's up for sale, we had 30 guys like within 2 days. I want it, I want it, I want it.
Yeah.
And how much? It's just
It's not for sale. It's not for sale.
So we're going to go over some of the features now and talk. I'll show you guys if some of you haven't seen this, and we'll go over and I'll just kind of talk about things that I found out about it and the way it works. So let's do that now. Okay, so now on the Ultra, obviously you know that it's not a real heavy machine. It probably weighs 700 pounds, maybe 8. I don't know. People will know in the comments. It's not too heavy that you can't move it. And the nice thing is that you have a tongue on either end. So you can go in either end and you can hook up the tongue on the back end, pull out of a pile, or you can have the tongue hooked up over in the front over here and you can tow it that way and also move it easier. But you don't have to have the tongue on to move it, and I'll show you that. So on the Ultra, we've got removable tongue, which all of the Eastonmade products have. It just slides in, and then it's just a pin that you drop in. And I have found that the easiest way to move this when you don't have the tongue on is you can stand right here and grab it right here, and you can pick it up, and you can move it around just fine, just like that. Just so in a pile, you can spin it around, you can pull it forward, move it backward. But the tongue is easier because you got more leverage, obviously, because you're out here. So I grab it like right here, and then you got more leverage, and you can move it around pretty easily and spin it. So, and it's heavy. It's not like light, but you can move it. When you are towing it, you can hook up, obviously, to your vehicle. It's got the safety chains, and they hook back here to this hook right here. So your safety chains will be hooked back here.
I see. I was wondering what that was for.
And then you hook up to your vehicle. I find they're way too long to hang way down. So I usually do like a couple wraps like this, and then hook them both up. And then this jack does pivot. And you do need to have the jack on, obviously, for when you're splitting, but you need to adjust it. You never want your table front end to be higher than the back end because you want your wood to come off. So level is nice, but I usually want it to be a little lower. But you pull this pin right here, and then it just pivots. You can lock it in for towing. So it's a lot of trailers have that.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
Yep, pretty standard, but it works really good. And then when it comes to the wedge, I will show you that. I'm going to grab something here. I'm going to grab a chunk of wood right from over here.
Just maybe to prevent a smush finger or...
Yeah, because it drops all the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yours will move really easily because it's brand new. Mine has been. So there's a pin on this side. Give this one a spin. There we go, like that. So there's a pin right here if I can get a hold of it. Come on, baby. There we go. There's a pin. You pull that, and then you go over to the other side, and you just give that a yank, and it's out. And then this is adjustable up and down wherever you want to go.
And it probably goes from what, like 2 inches maybe off the deck to
you can
6
go
or 8?
if you want. You can let it go all the way down if you want.
Oh, I suppose. Okay.
You just leave it all the way down, and it'll work just fine like that. But yeah, you can go up. Tell me when I'm on the bottom hole.
Down.
About right there, probably.
Right there, yeah.
Yep. So
6 inches, maybe 8.
yeah, that's pretty high. See, I just take a chunk of wood. That's what I do. Put a piece of wood when you're by yourself, because it's pretty heavy. It probably weighs 60 pounds. You can't really just one-hand it.
Right.
And then you can put your pin back in, and you can have it. So yeah, if you want big splits, that's plenty big. I mean, that's probably a good 6 inches.
Yeah.
So plenty good. I also have the single wedge, which I rarely use. Some guys, I know Joe at Joe's Premium Firewood, he uses a single wedge all the time. And you can get more precise wood because you can, you're not crushing stuff as much, especially if you get...
you have less waste too.
Less waste. If you get crotches or if you've got knots and things like that, the single wedge goes through. But I just think this will do everything you need to do. I use my single wedge maybe 5% of the time, maybe less than that. Not much. This will pretty much do everything. And if you get a piece that is nasty and you can't get through it, don't use it in the center. Put your chunk of wood off center and just use one of the wings. That's what I do.
Okay.
And you can just take pieces off that way. That's what I do. And it seems to work really good.
One I've seen you in your videos too, if it gets stuck, you just hook a chain to this.
Yep, but be careful when you hook your chain. You can use these chains actually.
Yeah.
When you do that, you hook it around your piece of wood. Make sure you're secure so it doesn't come flying back at you, number one, because you don't want to have that piece when your push plate is pushed forward and you're on the wood and you're going to go around this. You want to go around right through here, but don't hit your cylinder with the chain.
Yeah.
And don't ever let it retract all the way, because you're going to have that chain pinched between there and you're going to ruin your cylinder.
Yeah. Yep.
And you don't want to do that. So when you go back, just barely touch it and have it just come back real slow, and you can jerk that chain off, but just barely touch it. Don't just let it hammer, because it's auto retract, so it'll come back and all of a sudden you got problems. You have problems. But it does work good to do that. Yeah. So and I, like you're asking before, I do lubricate my rails, and the reason I do that is because I'm down to metal on metal. It's not paint anymore. What the heck? The sun came out. Does that feel nice or what?
Oh God, yeah.
Just so you guys know, it's like 30 degrees today.
Yeah,
and
we have
windy.
a wind chill in frickin' middle of April.
Yeah, they said the wind chill was supposed to be in the teens today, and it feels like single digits.
After a long winter, it feels like a beautiful day.
Yeah. So let's see.
15 below.
One of the other really nice things is that it has full-size tires. And the full-size tires enable you to tow it pretty much anywhere. But
what are those, 14-inch something like that?
I don't know. They're pretty decent-sized tires.
12 or 14s?
No, I think they're bigger than 12s. They're probably 14s or 15s. I don't know. I can't read.
I can't see it either.
15s. It says 15. So 15. If that's the size, it says 15 on there. They're greasable. It doesn't have suspension. So if you are towing it down the road, it will bounce.
Oh, sure.
So this is really not made to go much over 45. And I took my splitter up to my brother's up in the area. He lives up north. He never wants me to tell him where he lives. He lives up north. It's 3 hours away. Yeah. And I was going, 75, 80 miles an hour on the interstate. You don't want to be towing this thing. No. You hit bumps and it's all over the place. So I put it in the back of the truck and I pull it up there. Yeah. Plus, you can't see this thing back there. When you're towing, you back up. It's like a cement mixer. You can't see it. Yeah. They turn so fast. So just put it in the back of the truck or a trailer. It's the easiest way to do it. Yeah. Unless you've got a splitter that's got a suspension on it that has the leafs, or if it's got what's the other type of suspension? Can't think what it's called. People will tell us. Yeah. I think is it torque tension or something?
Like torsion?
Torsion, that's it. I think it was torsion. Yeah, the torsion suspension.
If you were hauling it like maybe 10 miles down the country road or something, and that's like that, no problem.
Right, and that's what this is for going from your house to the woods, down to the neighbors, whatever. But if you're going for hours on the interstate, no, this is not. I mean, you can. If you were to do this as a rental and people were taking it around town, you could do that. Yeah. But I wouldn't worry about it. I have not done anything with my hydraulic fluid. It seems to be just fine. I need to change my filter, however.
It does have a gauge.
It has a gauge for temperature, yep. On cold days, what's really nice is you can put your leg up against this.
Stay warm.
And stay warm. Yeah. And if you're on this side, you get the heat from the engine blowing on you, so you get some extra heat that way. So in the summertime, if you're splitting with someone else, you want to be on that side because the hot spot's over here. Sure. So put your friend here, and then you go over there in the summer, and then in the winter you go, but don't tell him why.
Yeah, and he's sweating bullets and you're not.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is a two-person machine. You can't feed it fast enough. You just can't. It's as fast as you can go. So yeah, everything works good. The lever, this is the only thing I broke on mine. I broke my lever twice. And I think it was from being snapped back, because it snaps back when it does the auto retract. It actually slaps. So the threads broke here. I broke it twice. And then I went and I bought a bolt that was the same size. And I put the bolt on there, and I bought it fully threaded, and I put nuts all the way up to give it extra strength. And somebody said, well, that's not going to make a difference. Well, I've been using it that way now for like a year, and I haven't broke it yet. So
I remember that video.
It must have worked. Yeah. And it was a bolt. It was cheap, so it doesn't matter.
$5.
Like probably like $1. Yeah, and some nuts.
And you just put electrical tape over it or something?
Yeah, you'll see mine. I made a bigger handle. I put a piece of PVC over the top of it to make it bigger, because I also found that this is kind of a sharp edge, especially if you're working with alt gloves or thin gloves. Yeah. All day long, your hands on that, your palm gets, it doesn't get bruised, it just gets kind of raw. So having it kind of padded would be nice. Like if you put a rubber ball up there and then tape that on. That's what I did in my old splitter. It was really nice and that worked really good. So that's the one thing I don't like is this is kind of standard for all of them. That's the lever that they come with.
It should be a little bigger, like a broom handle size.
Well, some guys say you should put like a tap handle on there, like a beer tap.
Yeah.
I think Shive has that. Exactly.
Shive has a Miller Lite one. Yeah. I remember seeing that too.
So on the difference, like we said before, mine has the Honda engine. I like the fact you've got this guard on here. I don't have that. The reason I like this, and I wish I had this, is you can dry gloves on this. Because when I get my hands wet, I put them on the cylinder here to dry because it gets nice and hot.
Right.
But if you could put them right up on top of here and have them not burn and get the heat from that, you could dry gloves off really nice with that. Sure. So that'd be kind of cool.
My other splitter, the engine's more down here.
Yeah.
And first thing, we dropped a piece of wood, broke the, it's like a $1,000 splitter.
Yeah.
Broke the muffler, broke like the shroud case for the muffler.
Sure.
Well, you wouldn't think, but that's about 60% of the value of that splitter when you have to rebuy it.
Yeah.
I think it was like $170 to redo the muffler on the other one.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's in kind of a stupid spot.
Yeah.
This should be out of the way. If you ever hit that with a piece of wood, you're doing something wrong, I would think.
Well, yeah. Well, that can happen. One thing you do have to watch out for because of the auto return, and you saw this on Joe Premium Firewood.
Yeah.
He had a piece when the wedge or the push plate come forward, the piece of wood flipped over the top, got behind the push plate, and it auto retract back, and it smashed it. He broke all of his lines and had to get it replaced. So that's one thing you got to watch for is having a piece flop over the top. And I've had it happen a couple times, but I've caught it.
Sure.
But I'm always watching for it because I saw his video and I learned from his mistakes. So he got sprayed with oil. It was not pretty.
Oh, and that could burn the crap out of
Oh,
it.
yeah. So, yeah, you don't want to do that. The only other thing, this is a slight, I don't know, a design thing that I would change if I was doing this, and I've mentioned it before. When you're splitting a piece, well, that's holding that up, and if you get a piece here, and you have another chunk coming through, as this piece right here that's already split, if it turns out on you and comes this direction, it'll wedge up against this, and it catches right here.
Yeah.
And I've had them shoot up in the air, and I've had them shoot out. And now mine, you'll see mine in a little bit, we'll go over, mine are bent over. So what you want to do is really watch these pieces. If I was to design this, I would make this a 45, not a 90.
You're saying a 45 like
Yep.
this way?
Yep, because it would slide out on you then.
Okay.
It would still hold the pieces, but it would slide out.
Right.
Because stuff does jam in here, both sides. And we'll just go over and I'll show you mine how that has happened. So that's something to watch out for. But other than that, we probably should fire this thing up so you can at least split a piece of wood with it.
I would love that.
Okay, well, let's go over to mine first.
All right.
I'll show you that, and then we'll bring some pieces over here and we'll fire this one up.
Sweet. Let's lower this a little bit. Got it?
See when?
Yep, right there. Is that about where you usually keep yours?
Just depends on the wood, but yeah, that looks good.
But this would be about perfect for this piece, right?
Yeah.
That is so fast.
Yeah. Hit it. So right now we've got a trailer being backed up for a splitter that's from Eastonmade. We're going to load onto it.
This is my splitter hauler when I
Yeah.
pick it up to my land.
Yep.
I was gonna get rid of it, and I'm like, no, because I hate pulling them things on a truck. It
Yep.
scares the living crap
Well, they
out of
bounce
me.
all over the. That's not made for going over 45 anyway.
No, I
so.
think mine's the same. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
So close.
we need more horsepower. Say when you're ready again. It's on. So here we have an Eastonmade that is going to be leaving my wood yard, which is not a good thing. It should be staying here because this is where all Eastonmades belong, don't you think?
This is where they become American citizens.
That's right. That's right. We signed the documents, it becomes official. No, you got his splitter. We ran a little bit, and then we ran my splitter a little bit so you can see what it runs like. And now you get to wear some paint off of yours. So we got it loaded up just now, and he's going to take it home. And for those of you that want to know, he has his own YouTube channel, because I don't have a lot of guys that have YouTube channels. The name of your channel is?
Life's Apprentice on YouTube, and yeah, go check it out and subscribe. I would appreciate it.
And you do a little bit of everything on there. It's mainly outdoor type stuff though,
Yeah,
right?
outdoor type stuff. You know, I'm a serial entrepreneur, firewood, hunting, fishing, and outdoors, and
All good stuff.
all the
good
kind of stuff that we all enjoy.
So what did you think of your time here in the woodyard today? What did you think of it?
Well, first of all, it was the best job I've ever had.
Well, of course.
The Eastonmade, I mean, from what I've seen and what I imagined, is just, it's an amazing product and scary fast. It's definitely going to take some getting used to for me.
Keep your fingers, just keep your fingers on.
Yeah, and what Chris has going on here in the woodyard is a whole nother level. And being here and seeing it in person is just, it's really, really cool.
Well, thanks for coming. It's awesome having you here. Well, that's it for today, folks. You know what to do. Poke some buttons. Between now and tomorrow, when you come back, get outside, get cutting.
Good night, Irene.